Good Sunday morning to everybody. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Hey guys, nice to see everybody here. It's show number 75, and I'm happy to be here this Sunday. Glad you guys could join us. Welcome to all the familiar faces. Welcome to all the newcomers as well. If there's anybody new in the house or anybody that's going to join us later on or watching the rerun that we're going to post after the show is done. Glad you guys can join us. So I wanted to start off the show and tell everybody basically what the gist is about Addicted to Gear in case you are new and you haven't been here before. This is the channel where we're basically talking about gear, guitars, pedals, music, everything related to music in general. And usually we have these live shows on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The disclaimer is that we're not responsible if you guys end up getting gear acquisition syndrome after watching this show. All right, so watch it at your own risk. I gotta let the dog in because she's at the door, and of course she always shows up at the wrong time, and if I don't let her in, she's gonna start barking. So just give me 1 second, guys, and we'll get the show on the road. Talk amongst yourselves. Be right back. Come on, let's go inside. Sorry about that, guys. She brought me my slipper. She has to be here because she's part of the show, right? She's part of the background effects where you hear the snoring, and that's usually my dog. So she's got to be in. She's got to be a part of the whole production here. So I want to say good morning to everybody, all the rockers in the house. Good Sunday morning to everybody. Cushman, good morning. Mark, good morning. Alan, Randy, Keith, Charles, John, Wayne, Bruce, Christian, Max, Fat Philosopher. If I skip anybody, please forgive me. I'm just going down the list very quickly. Rich, Rico, Devil Shoes, Seth, Joey, Paul, Keith, Allen, Mark Effects, Jason. Hey, we got a nice group of people already, which is fantastic. So why don't we just get the show on the road and basically start with some questions. Basically, guys, I want to be able to answer your questions as much as possible today. Let me see. Is the volume a little low on the voice? Maybe I could put it just a smidge higher. How's that? Is that okay, guys? Is that too loud, too hot? My mixer is kind of very delicate. If you just turn it like a little hair, it tends to be quite a bit higher. So let's start off with a couple of questions. So I want to know if you guys have picked up any gear, are thinking about picking up any gear, or interested in anything out there that you've seen recently, maybe some new stuff. Now's the time to talk about it with me and with the group and just get opinions and feedback. If you guys are building any of your own projects, definitely give us information on that. I'm constantly building some new projects, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. Everybody says it sounds good. Thank you. Great. So today I'm going to be on for pretty much an hour, guys. We're going to try and keep it to the hour as much as possible because I tend to go long and never put... usually I go 2 hours, sometimes 2 hours and a half. So I want to just keep it to about an hour. It'll give me a chance to timestamp the episodes, which I don't normally do because I feel it just takes too much time. But basically, I guess I'm going to start doing that to make it easier for everyone. So, yeah, no gear. You guys are slowing down. How about if you haven't purchased any new gear, have you sold any gear? That's the next part of that question. And there's a couple of questions already. So let me go and answer some of the questions that are already being asked. And if anybody has questions that I skip, please just ask them again. I don't usually try and skip anything, but sometimes I'm just scrolling up and down. By the way, just to get it out of the way, there is swag available underneath all of my videos, and of course that helps the channel. If you purchase anything, that goes directly into supporting the channel in things that need to be paid, expenses, memory cards, new cables, things like that. And of course, there's always the opportunity to do a super chat, and it's not necessary, but if you feel that you want to support the channel, it is appreciated. So let's go to the questions right away. Seth is asking if I ever put onboard preamps or other onboard electronics on any builds. And the answer to that is no, not really. I'm not a big fan of anything that makes things more complicated. Sometimes what ends up happening is with these preamps, you need to have a power source, you need to have a battery or something like that. So I haven't ever been attracted by like active pickups, EMGs, that type of thing, where you need a battery. I always found it a little bit not really necessary for the sound that I like. I basically like, the classic sound of a guitar. And I'm okay with the noise and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really go for that much. So I hope that answers that question. My dog's already snoring, guys. So if you hear snoring, that's what it is, all right? Sadly, no news for me, Gospel of Mark. I'm, however, selling some old pedals in case a purchase is imminent. So you're stockpiling your reserve, which is always a good thing. What pedals are you considering getting rid of, Seth? Just, sorry, Mark. Just in case you are talking to some people here that might be interested. You never know. You might be able to work out a deal remotely. I'm just going to grab a sip of water, guys. Cheers. I got to say, I went to bed quite late yesterday and I'm kind of wrecked this morning. Kind of rushed down to get the show on the road. I didn't even update all of the information here. As you can see, it still says show number 74, which I'm going to update now to 75. So yeah, I was I went to bed like, I think it was almost 3 o'clock in the morning last night. And I got up late and I'm a little bit wrecked this morning. So forgive me for that. I'm not at the top of my game, but we'll try to make the best of it. John also says no new gear. Fat Philosopher is answering Alan and says, yeah, I sold it quickly. Now if I could only sell my made in Japan Fender. So Fat Philosopher's liquidating some stuff. Joey, on the other hand, says he picked up a red 2001 Red Sparkle Epiphone Les Paul and an Ibanez RG950. Well, congratulations on that. Two very different guitars. Which one do you prefer, Joey? And what did you have previously? Are these replacing any old gear, or is this like just an addition to the herd? Sometimes these onboard electronics add weight to the guitar. That's Fat Philosopher's comment on the electronics. Yeah, I agree. I'm tending to lean towards lighter instruments these days, anything that is easier on the back. As a matter of fact, I pulled out this Gibson 335 today just because I'm considering using it today. I'm actually very happy because we're going to be playing today. The group is going to be playing for the first time in over a year. And it's a big event because we haven't seen each other. We've been quarantined. We've been good boys. So now we're completely rusty. Like, we're going to have to break out the WD-40 big time. We're totally rusty. And usually before a jam session or a studio session, I usually try and see or make a decision as to what guitar I want to bring for the evening. And I was leaning towards the VH striped Kramer that I built just because I made some updates to it, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But after a while, I remembered I've never actually taken the 335 to a jam session. And I figured I'd break it out today. I haven't actually played it in a long time. And I can see it's going to need a little bit of a neck adjustment because the humidity has been playing havoc with the necks on my guitars. I've been constantly tweaking these last couple of days. And this one is no different. I feel that it could use a little bit more relief. So let me just... can you guys hear that? It's on a little bit of a dirty patch, but... And not for anything. It's not really tuned up. Let me see if I can get a different... that's not much better. It's a little bit of a dirty patch as well. Not for anything, guys, but the humidity has also been wreaking havoc on my joints. My fingers are all really stiff. It's almost like I'm getting arthritis. My pinky, especially yesterday, I was playing, and anytime I would actually fret a note with my pinky, it would actually hurt. It's a little bit better today. But my I don't know, something's happening. It's been extremely humid, so I guess that's probably part of the reason. Let's see here. All right, so I jumped down a little bit. So Mark is looking for new pickups for an S2 PRS single cut. Don't like what I have in it, and I want something different. Want something that sounds good but isn't expensive. I've been there, Mark. The PRS guitars, I think, is... I mean, I'm usually very finicky about my pickups, but the PRS guitars seems to be the Achilles heel on the PRS guitars for some reason. Something that sounds good but isn't expensive. What price range are you looking at? Like, what's not expensive for you? Obviously, if you want to get something that's really good that you're gonna enjoy, I always recommend Monty's guitars, the PAFs that they have. They're really good. I wouldn't hesitate to get those pickups and put them in any guitar that has humbuckers in it. If you want to get something really good, and maybe they're not inexpensive, but you get what you want. Look up high order pickups and contact the gentleman there, and he'll be able to really wind whatever you need. He's really good. His pickups are great, and he's very knowledgeable about getting the sounds you want into his pickups. And he's located in the States. I don't know how far from you, but you can definitely speak with him through emails. He's very responsive, very knowledgeable, and he can guide you and suggest something. I've worked with his pickups in some of my guitars, and I wouldn't hesitate to grab some more. Actually, I'm even considering doing that right now. Hey, Cranar, good morning. So Rich just picked up a Donner Telecaster for a mod project. I've seen those Donner Telecasters around. They've been... a lot of people have been showcasing them because they're inexpensive. I think you could grab them off Amazon. What do you feel about them, Rich? Are they worth the money? I mean, they're not very expensive. And I guess if you're going to use them for a mod project, they should be fine. But anything we should know about those guitars? I haven't tried one yet. I might end up getting one just to review it for everyone and see what they're like, but I haven't. So any feedback would be appreciated by all, I think. Paul says he sold several pedals, but have been sold several pedals, but have been every week. I don't get that, Paul. Sorry. I think we might be missing a word there or something. Seth says, I emailed you some pictures of the Memphis build and my newest Fender custom hardtail. Thanks, Seth. I haven't seen them yet. Did you do that recently? I'll definitely take a look. Sometimes I don't check my emails every single day, or sometimes I miss it, but I will definitely check that and give you my feedback on that. I appreciate that, buddy. Jason, nice to see you, buddy. Jason's thinking about going Line 6 Helix or Stomp. I've been a pedal guy since the beginning. Any thoughts, Tony or Rockers? Line 6 Helix or Stomp. So they're both great. I think both of them would work nicely. If you're a pedal guy and this is the first time you're going into a multi-effects, just be warned that there is a little learning curve there. A lot of people don't mind it. If you are familiar with pedals and how to tweak pedals in a pedal chain, you should be okay with both the Helix and the Stomp. They're very user-friendly devices. The only thing is that if you're trying to use either one of these units in a live situation, it's not always cut and dry. Sometimes you do have to tweak quite a bit to get the sound that you were getting before with your pedals. It can be done. It really helps to get an FR speaker when you're playing through these units. That, in my opinion, makes it sound the best. And then just have fun. Just be warned, there is a rabbit hole there. And if you're like me, it's non-stop tweaking when it comes to these units. So just be careful, because you end up spending more time tweaking than actually playing sometimes. Just a warning, a word of warning from somebody who knows. R. Habs, good morning. I think you're new. I haven't seen you before. He says he just bought a mid-80s Kramer Focus 1000 white, thinking about getting it painted stealth with ghost stripes. Hey man, that sounds nice. I like that idea. That's what I did with one of my guitars. I don't know if you've been here before, but I made an EVH tribute guitar like that with the stealth stripes on it, and it looks killer. So I highly recommend it. I think it would be great. And that's a nice guitar, man. Congratulations. If you want to see the guitar, just check up on some of my previous videos. I think I did showcase it, and I talked about it quite a bit on the live sessions as well. Rico says he sent back his EVH Frankie that he waited 9 months for. Sweetwater sent me a lemon, bad string alignment, bridge install. That really sucks, Rico, but I'm glad you sent it back. I mean, you don't want to live with something that isn't set up properly. And probably to fix something like that, you would probably have to move the location of the bridge, which is not something you should do with a guitar that costs, I believe that guitar is over $2,000, isn't it? So yeah, unfortunately, sometimes you do get a lemon. But you know, you're not the first one that told me that those EVH Frankies are not that great in terms of setups. I had a friend that I spoke to just recently that he said his friend had one, and he brought it to show him, and he didn't feel that it was up to par. So I don't know. Maybe they're just mass producing these things too quickly. I really don't know. So Fat Philosopher sold some guitars. He's got money in his pocket. That's always a bad combination. Money in your pocket and gas. I'm sure that money will be gone, and it won't take long. I'm sure you'll enjoy something that you find along the way, Fat Philosopher. I was actually a good boy. I mentioned I think it was last Sunday, I mentioned that I was going to consider trading my Red Squire Contemporary Strat for an Ibanez RG 420 with a Floyd, and I decided not to go for it. I think I thought about it, I slept on it, and I've pretty much determined that I'm not really an Ibanez guy. Even though they are very tempting, they do look great, they have some great hardware on there. I decided just to keep the contemporary Strat for now and pass on that deal. So I don't know if I made the right decision, but I'm kind of proud of myself because I would have normally just jumped on it just to have something new, which is not always the best approach. So I'm super happy that we're all here today on Sunday and chatting and enjoying each other's company. I'm also a little bit sad because this is actually my last day of vacation. I've been on vacation the last 2 weeks, and I go back to work on Monday. That kind of sucks. I never look forward to that, but we're happy that we're here today, and I'm happy that I'm playing tonight. So, you gotta be glad about the good things, right? You gotta be appreciative about the things that you can do. So Alan has a question, so I'm gonna jump to Alan's question right now. Tone Rider Alnico 11 PAF humbucker pickups. I'm looking at a set to upgrade a HBSC 550. All right, so I can give you some feedback. I haven't tried the Alnico 11s. I don't think Alnico 11s exist. I think you mean Alnico 2, right? So the Tone Rider pickups, I've tried a few, and they do make some really nice pickups at a reasonable price. The ones that I've tried in the humbucker series, I wasn't a big fan. Now that doesn't mean they're not good. I mean, they're still good, but it wasn't the tone I was looking for. I didn't try all of them, all right? So take that with a grain of salt. My favorite Tone Rider pickups happen to be single coils, which are the City Limits, which I put in 2 or 3 of my guitars now, and I think those are a tremendous deal. But they do make some really nice pickups, and I can't really comment on all of them. The only thing I would say is, for the price, definitely try them out. It's not a big investment, and you might find that they work for you. I usually go for a little bit more powerful pickups, so I usually go for Alnico 5s, which is not always the best, but a lot of people do enjoy the Alnico 2 pickups, and I haven't tried those yet. So I would say go for it. You probably will be satisfied with those pickups. They do make good quality pickups, and worst comes to worst, you can always flip them. There's always people looking for those Tone Rider pickups, so it's not a big loss, and the cost overall is not extremely expensive. So that's my 2 cents. If anyone here has tried the Alnico 2s from Tone Rider, maybe you can give Alan a little bit more insight to that. Richard wants to know, do you have any gear videos in the works? I do. I have quite a few actually that I need to complete. There are 2 new guitars that I'm going to be reviewing, and those are the ones that I'm going to be putting out first. And I do have a few pedals that I'm going to be reviewing as well. And then there's older gear that I haven't actually reviewed yet that I wanted to actually talk about and do some videos on as well. So these last 2 weeks I've been away, so I haven't really been producing much videos. I've actually been on vacation, like real physically not here. So that's what slowed me down a little bit. I did a last review. The last review I did was on some pickups. Those were the Porter Anthem Plus, which surprisingly to me didn't get that many views, and I think it's just because people don't really know about the Porter brand yet or that much. But I had done a review on the Porter Anthem pickups, which were the original set I reviewed maybe a couple years ago, and they've upgraded those pickups with the Anthem Plus, which I think are really a pretty big difference and are definitely staying in my guitar. And those were like really nice pickups. I have to admit the review that I did was kind of quick, so I didn't get a chance to do a lot of playing. I did a sample at the beginning, which was mainly like a dirty sample with some drive. So, I could do a little bit more on that. Maybe you'll probably see those pickups in some other reviews and other playings that I've done, that I will be doing. So just stay tuned for those. But if you're interested, check out those pickups. They're really nice. Mark says, I built a parts Telecaster a few months ago. It's pretty cool. I never put a string tree on it. Is it necessary? And if so, where on the headstock do you put it? I'm afraid to line it up wrong. Yeah, that's an easy question, Mark. I would say yes. You should put a string tree on it. It's going to make a difference. Usually you put those on the higher strings. So the high E string and the B string specifically. Those are the longer ones. You want to keep those strings down, like with down force on the nut as much as possible, because otherwise you might get some ringing overtones that you might notice, and it's a little annoying. So you just, what I normally do, there's no real right or wrong location, but you want to try and keep the force down on the nut as much as possible. What I do, if it's a Telecaster, just go online, look for Fender Telecaster headstock photos, and you'll see more or less where Fender ends up putting the string trees. They're not always in the same location. They tend to vary on different models. So there's no real precise location. They try and avoid the logo and work it that way. So you can do the same. And what I normally do is I just eyeball it. I just put down the little round shaft where I think it should go. Usually you want it to be lined up in the middle of both strings. I make a little pencil mark when it's lined up properly where I want it to go. Make a pilot hole. That's very important, because if you don't make a pilot hole, you can break those screws. They're really cheap screws normally and pretty small. And if you break a screw, it's a pain in the ass. So make a little pilot hole and then just put it in there. It's pretty easy. I'm sure you can do it. It makes a difference. I think you should definitely have that in there. Next question. Fat Philosopher says he might pull the trigger on a Chapman ML3 or a Keisel acoustic. I thought you already had a Chapman at one point, Fat Philosopher. Was that not you? Maybe I'm mixing it up. Maybe it was someone else. Yeah, Larry says it's really hard to hear pickup comparisons on a cell phone. Yeah, I agree. I agree. You need a good set of earphones. Cans. You know, that's what you need. And even at that, it's very tricky because it depends on how it's recorded. Sometimes the recording does influence what you're hearing. So Christian says he's and this is in response to Fat Philosopher, he's a Marshall guy. Marshalls sound good for me with bass and middle on 10, and with presence and treble, I adjust the sound depending on the guitar that I use. Yeah, I think a lot of the tonal aspects on Marshalls, Marshalls are not as responsive to the tone controls as other amps are. Like some amps, like Mesa Boogies, for example, are very notorious for like changing the sound quite a bit, even with a little quarter turn. Where Marshalls, you know, you can dial in a good half a turn, and sometimes not hear much of a difference. But I'm a Marshall guy too. I love Marshalls, and yeah, I usually will determine what the sound needs to be based on the cabinet that I'm using. Man, my dog's really snoring. She's going to town. You hear that? I guess that's what she thinks about my live shows, guys. Sorry. Maybe some of you are doing the same. Oh boy, I haven't even had my coffee yet this morning, so I'm working on fumes. So the other thing I wanted to say is that last Sunday I did post a little poll, and I do this from time to time. And the poll question was, what is your go-to guitar shape for an electric guitar? And it kind of reaffirmed what I already knew. So the options were Strat shape, Telecaster shape, Les Paul shape, Flying V, and SC Junior. I would have put more, but when you do the polls in YouTube only allows you, I think, 5 selections. So overwhelmingly, by 45%, the main go-to shape for most of you guys is the Strat shape, which is obvious. It's obvious to me too. It's probably the most comfortable guitar shape in the bunch, followed by, surprisingly, Telecaster. So the Telecaster and the Les Paul were almost neck and neck. So 25% of you said Telecaster, 24% of you said Les Paul, which is actually surprising to me, because I don't find the Telecaster shape all that comfortable. And neither do I, the Les Paul too. It's not that comfortable. And I feel that it's actually pretty accurate. 25 and 24 makes sense. Flying V, only 4% of you thought that was a comfortable shape. And SC Junior, only 2%. So the SC Junior to me is, I would say it's maybe a little bit more comfortable than a Telecaster. So I'm surprised that the SC Junior only got 2% of the votes, but I think it's because less people actually own SC Juniors. Very similar to Telecasters, except they're a little bit smaller. So to me, maybe they're a bit more comfortable. The one that I should have actually put in there, and I didn't, was the SG. So yeah, I don't know what you guys would think about an SG, but and of course I had to leave out the 335, which I feel the 335 is not really a comfortable guitar to play at all, because it's big, right? So you have to kind of get used to it. But it has a beautiful shape. I'm looking sound. I'm looking forward to playing this guitar today. I don't know how well it's going to work with loud volumes, if it's going to feed back like a crazy banshee. But we're going to find out. I don't usually take this guitar out much because I'm always really worried about breaking the headstock on these things. I mean, you look at these guitars crooked and the headstock falls off. That's the last thing I would want to have happen here. But I'm gonna chance it and be very careful and take it with me today. Okay, so let's see here. Seth says he posts little polls from time to time as well. Joey says Explorers get the snub again. Sorry, Joey. Yeah, I couldn't put all of the shapes. There's a lot of them. Next time I'll add the Explorer, I promise. Yeah, the Strat is ergonomically well designed. I think Leo designed it for comfort, and I think along the way people forgot about that, and the aesthetics took over. So it would be great for people to get back to the. But it's just hard because it's hard to make a comfortable design nowadays that looks appealing, because most of us relate directly to a Strat or a Les Paul, and everything else seems foreign or alien to us, right? Fat Philosopher says he likes how a Les Paul looks, but Strats just play better, always fighting a Les Paul. Yeah, it's true. If you like the Les Paul and you don't want to fight it as much, try a PRS, because the PRSs are easier to play than a Les Paul, in my opinion. Much easier, actually. Richard says lately he's getting into offset guitars. There is a trend with offset guitars. I'm not a big offset guitar fan. I don't know. I'm pretty traditional in my I like things to be symmetrical as much as possible. Hey Randy, thank you. Randy says he loves my show. Thanks for participating, Randy. I appreciate that, man. If you guys do appreciate this show, don't be shy to give me a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm, it helps the videos get out there, and it helps more people see it. So go crazy. Fat Philosopher says SGs look ugly, fret access is okay. I think that's the main strong point for an SG. There's nothing in your way. But other than that, I feel it, to me it feels like a paddle. It's just really thin, you know. It's really thin on the body side. I don't know, it doesn't really give me much much comfort to have access to the higher frets when the whole thing, to me, I don't know, doesn't really. It's not one of my favorite guitars. I don't own one. I've never owned one. Eventually, I might maybe give it a shot. You know, it could be the old Telecaster thing all over again. I never liked Telecasters for the longest time, and now I have a whole bunch. So, you never know. Maybe my time will come with the SGs. Paul made a good point. Comfort of the shape is not determined by ergonomics, but by brand and costs. I think the higher we pay for a guitar, the more we're willing to put up with for whatever reason. I think that actually is true. And Fat Philosopher says, Explorers are poorly designed guitars. I don't know how those were actually designed for comfort. They're a little awkward to play, but there are people that love them. I've played one way back when, and I felt the piece of wood that comes up here makes a good armrest. Yeah, pretty much. That's a good observation, John. I don't think Leo designed the Strat. He just cut off any piece of wood that was in the way, and the Strat was what was left. But he didn't manage to make it look sexy. I don't know what it is. I mean, you know, if we had to imagine we never actually saw a Fender Stratocaster, it didn't exist. What are the chances that somebody would come up with that exact shape with all those curves in it? You know? It's hard to design something that has curves in it and make it look good and not make it look weird, you know. But you know, when you're dealing with straight shapes, yeah, you could, you know, come up with something. But I mean, with curves, when you're dealing with curves and trying to make it look sexy, it's not always obvious. It's very difficult, and you know, you can make part of it look good and then another part of it looks weird, and so on and so forth. But anyways, thankfully we don't have to do that. It's been done, so we can enjoy that. Larry says Explorers look badass. They just scream rock and roll. Yeah, you need one of those in your life, I think. Gospel of Mark says, I'll say PRS are the most comfortable for me. Always light, great body contours. I agree, Mark. Between a Les Paul and a PRS, there is no competition in terms of comfort for me. In terms of sound, like I said, the PRS guitars definitely lack in the pickup area. So I tend to grab a Les Paul just because of the sound most of the time. But if you upgrade those pickups, buddy, I'm sure you're gonna find the right combination and you're gonna love it. So Rico wants to know what my thoughts are on the new Epi/Les Pauls. A lot of people are jumping on the Epi bandwagon, and of course, with Slash endorsing these things, it's always going to be more eyeballs on the brand, which I think is good. I mean, if anybody wants to grab something in that style and can't afford a real full-fledged Les Paul, definitely grab one. I think they're great. They're saving you money. They're getting you in the ballpark of what you need. And the Epiphones, to me, are not bad guitars. I think they're fine. And hopefully the new models are even better. I haven't tried one of the new models since they came out with the new ones. I'm hoping to eventually get my hands on one just to see how they feel. But I'm sure they're going to be big sellers because I think a lot of people are influenced by the rock and roll icons, and Slash is definitely one of those. So Fat Philosopher says Leo allegedly interviewed dozens of musicians when he designed the Strat. Interesting, because I mean, he designed the Telecaster first, right? And the Telecaster was a no frills piece of slab of wood, right? I call it the cutting board. I mean, there's no contours or anything on that. Nothing comfortable on a Telecaster. It was totally functionality. Yeah, it could be that he. I mean, I think he was also influenced by the car designs, right? Because he was using a lot of paint colors that were basically grabbed right off what they were using on the car lines. And you know, the winged designs and the curves coming in and the cars and stuff like that. Maybe he was influenced by that. I don't know how, like, I really couldn't tell you if Leo physically drew out the design for the Fender himself, or if he had some kind of industrial designer do it for him. I don't know. If anybody out there knows, I'd be curious to find out. Sean says, if you're not playing a Gibson Les Paul, I recommend you play one of those before you say you don't like Les Pauls, because most of the Epiphone Les Pauls don't feel like a Gibson. Well, we're not really talking, I mean, look, we're not talking about feel. Like, you know, Sean, I'm not saying that you can go for an Epiphone and, you know, if the Epiphones were identical to the Les Pauls, nobody would be buying Les Pauls because they'd be spending so much more money for nothing. So there is definitely going to be a difference there. What I'm saying, though, is that, you know, if you have that itch, it's a great way to get into a Les Paul without spending too much money. And then eventually you can upgrade if you feel it's worth it for you. A lot of people are happy with an Epiphone and don't need more than that. So thanks, Seth. I really appreciate you trying to encourage everybody to share. And yeah, if you have friends that are guitarists and would like to be part of the show on Sundays, definitely let them know about it, man. You know, eventually we get more eyeballs on it, and it really makes it a lot more fun and a lot more interesting for everybody here. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Any encouragement or partaking in growing the channel is always appreciated. And Seth says Leo paid a designer. So that's my thinking. I don't think Leo was an artist in terms of like his drawing capabilities and stuff like that. So he might have, but I don't remember reading that or actually having a name or somebody who can actually be attributed to designing the Strat. Maybe it's out there. Maybe Wikipedia will be able to give me that name. I don't know. Sean says a Les Paul is not near as uncomfortable as the acoustic guitar. That's why Leo was like, this is great from what he was playing. The log, I mean, it's a 2-inch body, not a 6-inch body. Yeah, it's definitely going to be more comfortable than an acoustic guitar. Okay, so Seth has that information. Cool, thanks, man. If you can look it up, that would be great. I'll put it in the vault. So Alan says, Leo designed the Strat after complaints that the Telecaster was uncomfortable to play, yet people still buy Telecasters. Yeah, I think the reason why people buy Telecasters even still today is really not because of the feel or the ergonomics. It's definitely the sound. To me, I was not a big Telecaster fan for the longest time. I always associated them with country music. Never really liked the shape of the headstock. Always thought it was odd looking. And always shunned the Telecaster until one day I played one. And I loved the sound of the Telecaster. It just was so badass. A lot of tone, you know. Telecaster, for me, fits right between a Gibson and a Strat. You know, it's right in the middle there. And with single coils, there's so much bite with a Telecaster. You really don't have any issues being heard in the mix at all when you're playing in a band with a Telecaster. So I think you got lucky there. And it's a very simple machine. You know, there's no floating bridges, there's no parts that are necessary. It's basically very, very basic in terms of a guitar. So I think that's actually a plus, because for those of you who don't want to fidget around with, you know, setting things up, you know, if you've owned a Floyd, you've owned an Ibanez, anything that has a floating bridge or anything like that, it's crazy. It takes a lot of time. And, you know, this is string through body, and that's it. You're ready to rock, you know. There's nothing you don't need on a Telecaster. It's a no frills instrument. Paul says, I got an SG stupid cheap just to turn around, but the sound is beyond killer. I put it down to dumb luck, as I had one decades ago and it was just okay. So you see, they're not all made the same, Paul. I mean, every guitar is different, so they're definitely worthwhile checking out. What's so close? We're talking about something here. Anyways, so close. John says because there is beauty in a good design. That's why the similar to Strat style guitars look a little off, and it's always the different parts that is the issue. We're accustomed to our eye gets used to certain things, and whatever comes first is really the benchmark. So everybody is comparing everything that came after the Strat that looks like a Strat to the Strat. Even the Silver Sky PRS guitar that came out. There's a lot of flack on that guitar because people were saying, "Oh, it's a Strat ripoff, and you're charging $4,000 for a Strat style guitar," even though PRS said over and over again, this is an amazing guitar. It's totally different. If you try one, you'll see. Blah blah blah. Everybody still related it to the Strat. And I have to admit, I mean, there was a lot of aspects to the Silver Sky that was a direct copy or close enough of a copy to make it like uncomfortable. Like if he wanted to make his own guitar, he didn't have to go that close to what the look is on a Strat. I think that he was trying to stick it to Fender. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, they're still out there. Those guitars are still being purchased, even though they're really expensive. I don't know. I'm scared to try one of those guitars. Maybe Paul's right. Maybe if you try one, you'll really like it, and then you're gonna end up buying a $4,000 Strat. I don't know, man. I'm trying to avoid that. Luckily, I haven't seen them in my stores anywhere close by that I can actually go and try one. So I'm happy about that. So Fat Philosopher says, yesterday Shane played a Gibson, a Telecaster, a PRS. The PRS sounded noticeably worse than the other two. Interesting. Like I said, Fat Philosopher, for me, the PRS guitars, they're great guitars, but the pickups in them are lacking. So I'm not actually surprised by that. Or it could be that he just didn't have it dialed in properly. Who knows? So Seth says, Freddie Travers designed the Stratocaster for Fender. Nice. Thank you for that, Seth. Freddie Travers. So if any of you are playing Trivial Pursuit with your friends and that question comes up, now you know the answer. Maybe, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't know the answer to that question. So that's really cool. In the vault. It's in there. Keith says, I had an 86 Jap Strat, most comfortable guitar ever. I have to say that the Japanese Strats are noticeably more comfortable. These headphones are messing up my hair. Man, I got a bad hair day going. Okay, let's try and hide it like that. I have a Japanese Strat as well. I don't know if it's an 80s model. It could be because I bought this a long time ago and it was used when I bought it, and it's very, very comfortable. Very different in terms of feel than the Mexican and the US Strats that I've played as well. They're great. If you can grab a Japanese, an older Japanese Strat, I would highly recommend it. They're great guitars, very fine guitars. Let me jump down to the bottom here and just see what's going on. Man, my dog's really snoring. One of the things I want to talk about is what I posted on Instagram yesterday. I was working on a guitar build. I'm actually working on this. I have it here. You guys might have, speaking of Telecasters, you might have seen the body I was working on way back. This is the body that I purchased unfinished. This is not reclaimed wood. This body's pretty heavy. It's not a light piece of wood. But I basically wanted to build like a 52 reissue style guitar. Thin skin, this is nitro. And I ended up getting a nice bridge for it. I decided to go with a 6 saddle bridge, kind of as a tribute to Keith. And put in the remaining. This is the actual pick guard that I didn't use on my purple Telecaster. So I decided I was going to use it here. And I put in a set of Gatekeeper pickups from Porter Pickups. So we're going to see what those pickups sound like. To my disappointment, the pots in here, this is pretty inexpensive control that I purchased. I didn't wire it up yet. This whole thing cost me like 20 bucks, and it's got full-size pots. I don't know if you can see that. Full-size pots, orange drop capacitor, a real switch, a real three-way switch. It came with the cover, came with the knobs. It was a deal. But unfortunately, in this body, these full-size pots don't give me enough play to line the pick guard properly. So it's actually going to throw everything out of whack. So I'm going to have to actually go kicking and screaming, because I don't usually like the smaller size pots. But I'm going to have to grab some smaller size pots to put in there and replace the larger pots. So I actually have a little bit more left and right play to align the actual cover plate so that the pick guard is not going to be crooked. So these are the little joys of building your own guitars. You always have to make little tweaks to the layout and everything. And thankfully I have enough spare parts to be able to do this, because I also had an issue with the screws on the pickups. The holes of the pickup were a little bit larger, and the screws that I have, the typical size screws, would just float in there, so you had no adjustment. So I had to actually get larger screws. I had to drill out the holes a little bit larger on the bridge to make it work. There's a lot of fiddling, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to build it. Now I'm looking for a neck for this. I gotta get myself an affordable Telecaster neck, and I'm trying to avoid the eBay, because shipping, duties, and sometimes you don't get what you really want. I'm trying to find other sources in Canada, but I'm gonna basically keep looking while I'm building out the guitar. I still need to get the ferrules, I still need to get the output jack, I still need to get a few other things for it. So I like to build them a little bit at a time, so it's not a hit. You know, you don't spend a lot of money on a guitar in one go. You just build it over time, so you don't really feel it as much, and it keeps it fun, because you always have something to look forward to. You get a new part and you put it in there, and you know, it's like building a model, you know. Yeah, I could Dremel out the Telecaster cavity to get the plate pots to fit, but I don't really want to do that, Rico. It's gonna be messy, but that is an option. I just yeah, I think maybe just the person that I bought the body from, you know, maybe made the cavity just a little bit tighter. It's what it is. Yeah, I don't know, Wayne. I'm a little bit. I tend to go crazy with the Dremel. You know, eventually, just you know, you're gonna have to. I don't know. It's an option. We'll see. We'll see. I'll figure it out. Larry says, I personally think PRS wide thin, one of the best neck shapes I ever played. I had a PRS at one point that had a thin neck on it, a little bit thinner than the ones I have now. And that was a Tremonti SE. I didn't like that neck. I'm not a huge fan of the thinner necks, like especially like the ones on Ibanez guitars that you see, like the Wizard necks. A little bit not enough room on those necks for me. This neck actually is quite thin compared to my Les Pauls. I was actually surprised at how thin this neck is. One of the thinner ones that I have. Seth, if I mess it up, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna take Bondo to it, patch the mess that I make. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I hear it. There's definitely a... see, the strings are a little bit too low to the fretboard. You can hear it like a little... not much, little tweak, but makes a difference, you know. I love the 57 Classics. They're great pickups. They have a really nice growl to them. So this is not an Epiphone, Simon. This is a Gibson 335. I did have an Epiphone at one point as well, and they're great. They do. I just don't like the headstock. I like the low and high on the bridge. Yeah, this one cleans up really nice. Well, I'm going through a multi-effect, so it's not as obvious as when you're dealing with an amp. If I bring it back up, bring it back down. Anyways, I don't want to get carried away. Yeah, I really like the growl on the 335s. I can't wait to try it tonight. It's going to be fun. I'm just a little bit worried about carrying everything. I'm actually considering bringing my combo amp that I don't usually do, because they do have cabinets there. They go through solid state heads, which I don't really like, and I usually like tube. So either I'm gonna bring I was thinking about bringing my Black Star combo amp, or possibly bringing my Marshall head, which I haven't really decided what I'm gonna do. But I think the Marshall would be killer with this guitar as well. So we'll see. But one of those. I just hate carrying stuff, because by the time I get there, you can only carry two things at a time, and usually I have a guitar in one hand. You know, I have my pedal board in another hand. Sometimes I have additional cables. You're carrying all this stuff, then you got to go back and you got to go get the head, and you know, you can't do it all in one trip. I need a little carry cart to put everything on there. You know, and sometimes you don't find parking right in front of the rehearsal studio, and you got to park a block away. By the time you're inside, you're winded, you're tired, you're getting cramps in your arms and legs. I need a roadie. That's what I need, a roadie. Yeah, everybody hates the old Epi headstock. Never really minded it. I think when you're used to it, you kind of don't notice it as much. But when you look at it compared to a Gibson, it's quite a bit different. 335s are crazy good for everything. Yeah, in terms of sounds, they are really good. They're very versatile guitars. I just wish they weren't so fragile. Seth says, for your pot issue, we have a plastic template with all the pot sizes drilled in. Protect the guitar, clamp the template exactly where you want to deepen Measure, deepen, add near clear. So Seth, maybe let me just clarify. So I'm not trying to deepen it. Like the depth is good. The depth is correct. It's actually the side to side. I just need to be able to align the cover plate just a smidge over so that it doesn't shift the pick guard over. And that it's not a big thing. It's a couple of millimeters. So, going with the smaller size pots would fit that without having to drill in everything and deepen it. Like I could take a router to this thing and basically route it out as maybe a couple of millimeters more. But I don't want to bother with that. I think the small size pots will be fine. There's a little bit of anxiety when it comes to people and using small size pots. I think a lot of people shun them because a lot of times they're Chinese quality. Ones that we see on a lot of these Chinese guitars are not very good. But I'm sure there's small size pots out there that are better quality. So I'll just find those. Wayne says, Tony, don't joke about fixing with Bondo. You're dealing with a 58-year-old career body man here. Love this stuff. You can fix everything with Bondo. And I've done it. I've done it on other guitars where I want to fill in the holes for the the drilling. But what I've learned is that Bondo doesn't hide so well on their paints. Certain paints, certain paints react to this stuff, so you have to be careful what you're doing. Charles 75N says, I agree, I am a suck for a semi-hollow guitar. The semi-hollows are great. I think, yeah, exactly, Seth. Side to side. That's what I mean. The whole pick guard fits in nicely with the controls cover because there's a little curve in there and it's got a line, and if it's off then it pushes the entire pick guard off, and then it's not aligned to the curvature of the body. It's like chasing your tail. And then I'm a stickler for these things. It really bothers me if a pick guard is crooked. I'm pretty anal about these things. Sometimes, no matter how straight you try and get it, it's always a little bit crooked. And I tend to notice these things when I'm building my guitars. Okay, so we're talking about A Girl from Malta. Sounds like a song. Any other questions, guys? We're getting we're sidetracked here. Here we go. Simon has a question. Tony, have you considered a Bigsby tremolo for your Gibson? Never. I have not, because the Bigsby tremolo for me has everything that I don't like. It's got extra weight. It's big. It's an eyesore, and they don't work very well. The technology is old. Springs don't come back to pitch. I don't know. There's nothing that entices me about a Bigsby tremolo for any of my Gibsons. So I kind of avoid them, and if there's a guitar that has one, I probably won't buy it unless it's a vintage guitar, and then I could take the Bigsby off or something like that. I mean, I'm just getting back to building up enough courage to going into guitars that have Floyd Roses. That's just because of the Beretta, the Kramer EVH guitar that I built. It came with a really, really crappy bridge. Guys, the OEM, if you have guitars that have these OEM Floyds on them, this is what came with the kit. And I don't know if you can see that, but I kind of tried to make the knife edges a little bit sharper. I actually filed them. You can see them here. This is pretty much garbage. It looks like a Floyd, doesn't work like a Floyd. A lot of people don't know that, and then they get frustrated with Floyd systems, and they wonder why they don't work well. Throw these in the garbage. That's basically what I did. I ended up the other day finding somebody local selling a Schaller made in Germany bridge, and I swapped it out, and night and day difference. Now I can say that the tone on that guitar is definitely better, sustain is definitely better, and it comes back to pitch much better. I'm not going to say it doesn't go out of tune, because they all go out of tune. That's the thing about these Floyds. You know, people think, oh, I'm going to get a Floyd and it's going to be, I tune it once and that's it. That's not how they work. They definitely go out of tune. But they definitely work better once you have a good quality bridge in there. And the German quality is night and day. So they're very expensive, but if you're going to go Floyd, you need to have one. So that's I don't think I'm going to show you. It's back here somewhere. It's down there, but I don't feel like grabbing it right now. But trust me, you're going to see that guitar. I was considering taking that guitar tonight and playing that guitar tonight but I think I'm going to go with this one. Yeah, you can't skimp on a bridge. I really wanted the Van Halen look on that guitar. Otherwise, I probably would have put the Vega Trem in there, because I do have a black Vega Trem that I'm going to be using, but I wanted to put this on another build. These are actually very, very, very well made bridges, guys. I know a lot of you criticize the price, and I agree they're very expensive. You know, if they were half the cost, I would probably put one of these in every one of my guitars. But they're really super well made pieces of equipment. And if you want to not skimp on a guitar, try one of those Vega Trems. They're really great. Yeah, the original Floyd are really hard to find. You can find them. You can find them on eBay, but you're not going to get a deal. But if you want to save a little bit of money, go with the Schallers, because the Schallers are pretty much the same quality as the original Floyds, and you can sometimes get them used because people part them out. The guy I got it from had it on a guitar that he parted out, and I ended up grabbing it. I talked him down to like 150. Originally he wanted 175. These bridges, I think they're over $300, over 350 maybe even, and that's US. I paid Canadian, so I think I got a good deal on it. Yeah, what songs are we playing tonight? So our set list is quite long. We have a lot of songs in our set list. Let's see here. What do we play? I'll go through a bunch of them, okay? I'm just going to blurt them out, and then... So we play everything from classic rock to more modern songs. I guess the majority of the songs we're playing are classic, but there are a few new ones in there. So there's, let's see, I'll go in alphabetical order. Adventure of a Lifetime, Coldplay, Alive, Pearl Jam, All Right Now, Free, Back in the USSR, The Beatles, Bad Case of Loving You, Robert Palmer, Better Be Home Soon, Crowded House, Black Magic Woman from Santana, Born to Be Wild, Steppenwolf, Brown Sugar, Stones, Can't Get Enough from Bad Company, Come Together, The Beatles, Crazy Little Thing Called Love from Queen, Day Tripper, Beatles, Feel Like Making Love, Bad Company, Get Back, again from the Beatles, Hair of the Dog from Nazareth. We have some CCR in there as well, like Have You Ever Seen the Rain? We used to play some Pat Benatar when we had a female singer. We don't do that anymore, but we had Hit Me With Your Best Shot in there, Hot Legs from Rod Stewart, Hurt So Good, Mellencamp. We sometimes play I Wanna Break Free from Queen, but we don't play that much anymore. Interstate Love Song, Stone Temple Pilots, some Steve Miller, Jet Airliner, Jumping Jack Flash, ZZ Top, Just Got Paid, or Lagrange. Learn to Fly, Foo Fighters, Long Train Running, Midnight Rider, Moondance, Van Morrison, Mustang Sally sometimes, but rarely now. New Girl Now, Honeymoon Suite, Canadian band. Plush again from Stone Temple Pilots. Running with the Devil, some Van Halen. That's one of the few Van Halen songs that we play. Sharp Dressed Man, ZZ Top. What else? Slow Ride, Fog Heart, Smoke on the Water. Gotta play that one. Deep Purple. Stay With Me, Rod Stewart, or The Faces. Stuck in the Middle with You, Steelers Wheels. Sunshine of Your Love, did I mention that already? That's Cream. Sweet Child of Mine, Sweet Emotion from Aerosmith. Taking Care of Business, we sometimes do that one. Tie Your Mother Down, Queen. Vertigo, U2, Walk This Way, Aerosmith. Sometimes we play some White Wedding from Billy Idol as well. Wildflower from The Cult. And You Shook Me All Night Long from AC/DC. And there's a few others in there, but I don't remember all of them. That's pretty much the list. Let's see here. What other questions? Alan says, Goto Floyd bridges are big upgrades on the cheap. That's true. They're made a little bit different though. So if you're looking at getting the look, the Gotos look a little bit more like what Ibanez has on their guitars than what the early Van Halen guitars had. So if you're looking for that look, then you have to maybe consider that, but they're good. Fat Philosopher says, need more Zeppelin in the playlist. I agree, a little vitamin Z does the body good, but the problem with Zeppelin is it's hard to play that stuff. And either, if the singer is not in the range of Robert Plant, and a lot of times the singer is not in the range of Robert Plant, it's very difficult to play a lot of the songs. You have to limit it to the songs where he doesn't go crazy with the high vocals. And then of course the drums are always challenging as well, because there's some songs that are really, but I love Led Zeppelin. Paul wants to know, Tony, what is your typical number of sets and how long are there? So we don't really, what we do is we go 3 hours straight. So basically we try and squeeze in as many songs as we can in a 3-hour time frame. So we don't, sometimes we break it down into sets where we'll do like a set of, I don't know, maybe 10, actually not 10, maybe 20 songs a set, and we will alternate those sets. But sometimes we just end up going in and playing, somebody's going to start playing a song and we continue. Somebody starts something, we just continue, and then we just crank them out one after another that way. Very simple. No Black Sabbath. Yeah, I'm not a big Black Sabbath fan, so sorry about that, but there's not much Black Sabbath in our set list. Larry says the Goto posts are bigger, so it's not a straight drop in, and these are things that you're gonna have to deal with if you're building your own guitar. Sometimes the posts are a little bit thinner, smaller, you have to sort of enforce them a little bit, and sometimes they're bigger. So yeah, these are things you have to be ready to deal with. Rico says, sounds like my YouTube music playlist. Yeah, we're all old timers, so I'm actually getting a little bit tired of playing the same stuff over and over again. Fat Philosopher says, I saw Honeymoon Suite live. I did too. I saw them at here in Montreal at the amusement park. They were opening for Stevie Ray Vaughan. That was an amazing night. Honeymoon Suite was really good. Actually, sorry, scratch that. They weren't opening for Stevie Ray Vaughan. They were headlining that show. That was one show. I'm mixing them up because both Stevie Ray Vaughan and Honeymoon Suite were at the same venue at the amusement park outside, and but they were both great. I like Honeymoon Suite. Fat Philosopher says, "Play BTO. You ain't seen nothing yet." If I do that, I'm gonna get demonetized again. Every time I play something, I get demonetized. So I rather keep it generic. Yeah, the Stone Temple Pilots are great. These are. I'm not gonna play more than that. And New Girl now has that. That lick is always a killer. I like that one. I gotta keep the little sample short because they're gonna ding me, man. I'm telling you. That's a lot of solos to remember. Yeah, it is. Just play the same solo every time. Works for me. You think they'll notice? Well, the good thing is that we do have I do have another guitarist friend who's in the band as well, so we alternate solos. So I'm not playing all of them. Sometimes he plays some. He tends to wing them a little bit more than me. I try and get them note for note. But it's all fun, man. It's a lot of fun. And I'm really looking forward to it. Rico wants to know how the 5150 build, how it's going. It's great. Okay, I'll get it. I didn't want to get it, but I'll get it for you guys. 1 second, all right? Let me just unplug this guy here. I don't like to switch guitars midstream because there's, you know, you get noises and stuff. But let me just grab it. All right, so this is it. Let me just plug it in. So there you go. That's the guitar. So that's the only thing I really... Actually, I changed two things. I changed this guy. This is the Schaller. Looks very similar to the other one, but it definitely is the made in Germany version. I changed that, and I changed the pot on here because it was sticking a little bit. So I put a nice full-size pot. And I actually did a fret level on it. So I noticed that there was some frets that were high. So I did a fret level and a polish just yesterday. And I still have to intonate the guitar properly. It's not intonated. And let me just tune it up very quickly here. The thing about the made in Germany bridge, the actual tuning adjusters, whatever you want to call them, they're so precise, and they just move very easily. You can easily throw them out of pitch just by hitting them with your arm when you're playing or your hand. So you have to be super careful, because I tend to like to rest my rest my hand on the bridge, and I can't do that anymore with this guitar. So let me see here. Now the harmonics jump out, whereas before, and the low E string, when you would do this on the other bridge, sounded like a rubber band. Now, So it sounds killer. And you know, I didn't do anything crazy with it. It still, believe it or not, has the same very cheap pickup that came with the guitar kit, which is a ceramic magnet, but it just works in this guitar. I think if I don't get demonetized for that, I don't know. You know, stuff like that. It's just fun to play. The only thing I want to do on this guitar, besides get the intonation a little bit better, is try and just get the strings a little bit lower. But with the Floyd, you kind of have to sometimes, it's give and take. You know, you have to adjust it in a certain way where you can clear all the. Anyways, you get the idea. I eventually probably will put a little treble bleed. Oh, dropped my pick. It's okay, I got more here. So that's it. That's basically what it is, guys. Yeah, the hockey stick. You know what the problem is with this headstock, though? It's cool because it's bigger. It doesn't fit in all my cases. I had to actually. I thought I'd be able to put it in one of my molded cases, but it won't fit. So I have to put it in one of another case, and it fits pretty precisely. Like the edge kind of rubs on the edge of the case. So I don't know what case Eddie used for his guitars, but I didn't realize that would be a challenge. Hey, Yenasi, good night from Indonesia. Nice to see you. What pickup are you using? So the pickup in here is the stock ceramic pickup that came with the guitar kit. I don't know what it is. There's no name on it or anything like that, but it sounds okay, so I'm keeping it in for now. Rico says, has anyone tried any Dylan Talks Tone pickups? I'm interested in how they sound. I haven't. I have not. I usually have a couple of go-to pickup sets that work for me. Charlie wants to know what amp you're playing. So I'm not actually playing with an amp. I'm actually going through my MG300, which is a NUX multi-effects unit. I'm using that for my live streams, just because I'm able to mix the sound with the voice. Otherwise, if I play the amps that I have here, they don't play well with a live stream. The real amps I have in the room, though, I have a Marshall Studio Plexi, I have a Friedman Dirty Shirley, I have a Black Star JJN20, I have a Brunetti Plexi Man, and I have a Fender Supersonic 22. So how much for an hour show? An hour show? I don't know. I can pass the hat and see what happens. Tony, what is your go-to brand for pots? I'm not super picky about my pots, Paul. I usually will grab whatever is available locally, so I don't have to order them online. Either Alpha, Borns, Alpha, CTS, those are fine. Sometimes I'll go with, all parts, generic type pots. How much longer you going? He used the metal air create. What? Hey Tony, how much longer? Let me try and get this. How much longer you going? He used the metal air crate type cases. Okay, I see. All right. Okay, so you're talking about this metal air crate type cases. Yeah, so luckily I do have a case that fits, so I'm gonna go with that. I won't have to modify my cases, thankfully, because those things get expensive. I like going with the molded cases whenever I can. So if I don't have to buy another one, it saves me $150 to $200. Lately, guys, I've been doing nothing but tweaking my guitars because of the humidity. Every single guitar that I have needs some kind of a tweak, mostly the neck. We've been getting a lot of rain, a lot of humidity, and it just my guitars react. I modified the curvature on my PRS yesterday. This guitar, my 335 probably needs a little tweak if I'm going to take it tonight. The purple Telecaster as well. Earlier this week I was playing it and I got it more in the ballpark. But it's amazing to me, little tweaks like micro turns here and there, adjusting the bridge, adjusting the truss rod makes a huge difference. Huge. But it really makes it a lot better to play. So it's great. Rico says, I ordered a slick guitar from Guitar Fetish on clearance for $185. I'll let you know how it plays when I get it. Which one is it, Rico? Is it the one that has the bridge that looks like a Les Paul bridge on Telecaster? I saw they had one that had a fixed bridge saddle thingy happening, but it was a Telecaster style guitar. Is that the one you ordered? Just wondering, because I've seen those, and it depends. Be careful where you're located, because you could get dinged with duties on that, eh? Telecaster with 2 mini humbuckers. Yeah, was it that one that has the bridge that looks like a... I figured I could play Honeymoon Suite because nobody knows them anyways, except Canadians. They're probably not as severe with some of the songs that you play. Rarely change the pickups in my basses, but more so in guitars. I think a lot of bass players don't mess with the basses as much. Even the strings. I know bass players that have had the same strings on the basses for years, so they don't really make a lot of money, I guess, selling strings to basses, because they just keep them there. So I find this guitar, when you dial it low, when you put the volume in low, it kind of... it loses the highs pretty fast. So that's probably one thing I'm going to do. Let's put a little treble bleed in there. Yeah, that's it. New Girl Now. They also had the other one. How's that one? I forget it now. Wait, was it called Wave Babies or something like that? I forget. Or I don't even remember it. I forget how it goes. I haven't listened to a Honeymoon Suite besides the song that I play in probably 25 years. So, oh man, how did that song go? I don't remember it now. Sorry, don't remember it. But So it's not true that things don't go out of tune, because they do. But this is pretty good. It kind of stays in tune. Eventually you have to just fine tune it a bit, and let's see how off I am here. So yeah, you see there's a little bit of a, you got to constantly play with these things, because the Floyds are, it's a system that is designed to stay floating and in balance. And if it's especially if you have newer strings on a Floyd, it takes a little time for them to stabilize and stretch out, you know. So I try not to change the strings on a Floyd guitar very often, because then you're fighting it again, and it just ends up causing more issues, you know. So I kind of keep them. But the good thing about a Floyd system, however, though, is if you do break a string and it happens to break from here, you generally, if you wrap your windings around the post, you can just loosen it up and shove it back in there and continue. If it breaks here, you're kind of screwed. And it does take a lot more time to change a string on a Floyd, and you have to have your tools, and it's a little bit more of a pain than a regular guitar. But in this particular case, you can't put a different bridge on this guitar. It's got to be a Floyd. So guys, I think we're going to be wrapping it up, because I've gone over by half an hour. I said it was going to be an hour. So basically over by 30 minutes, like I said. I usually get carried away. So I think we're going to wrap it up, so you guys can get on with your day and enjoy your Sunday. And I could get some other stuff done here as well, make a couple more videos, and get things uploaded so you guys have something to watch, because there's going to be a couple of interesting ones I think you guys you're gonna like. So unless you have any last questions, I'll take a couple of last questions, but we'll wrap it up after that. If not, we'll wrap it up sooner. But either way, I had a lot of fun today, and I'm glad you guys tuned in. Cohen just jumped in. Hey Cohen, nice to see you, buddy. But we're wrapping it up, so you're gonna have to watch the repost because I've been yapping for an hour and a half already. Thanks, Seth. I appreciate you too, buddy. Thank you for tuning in. What else? Yeah, you're just a little bit late, Cohen. We started at 10, but it's all good. You can watch the rerun on it. No problem. If you guys, are tuning in late and you have questions and you're not able to ask them when we're on the live stream, just ask them in the chat on the rerun and I'll answer your question there. It's all good. All right, guys. Thank you for joining on this Sunday show. Stay tuned and definitely try and tune in next Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless something changes or I put a surprise stream up out of the blue because I'm bored. But it's all good, man. Cohen says, just finished working on my neck through build. Awesome, dude. Let us know how that turns out. Fat Philosopher, best Police song on guitar. They're all good, man. They're all good. I love all of the Police songs, man. You have Roxanne. You have Message in a Bottle. Gotta get a clean sound for that, though. I don't have... This is not clean, sorry. That's not clean now. Oh, there's delay on this one. Well, if there's delay, you can always do, how about this one? That's a good exercise to stretch your fingers. That's a nice one. try that when you want to do finger exercises. All right, guys, that's it for today. Take it easy. Have a great Sunday. Stay safe. Keep rocking. Take it easy with the gear acquisitions, but make a list for next time so we know what you purchased and we can you can share it with us. And of course, please give me a thumbs up if you want to support the channel. Spread the word and get your gear addicted friends to jump on board so that we have more people in the community and we can have deeper discussions on our Sunday shows as well. That's it, guys. See you soon.